Sandy Brondello is officially on the market, and the Indiana Fever better not fumble this bag. Because when one of the most elite coaches in WNBA history is suddenly available, and your team just so happens to have the most talked-about player in the entire league, Caitlin Clark, it's not a coincidence. It's an opportunity. A loud, flashing, blinking sign from the basketball gods. And now, all eyes are on Indiana to see if they'll take the shot or pass it like they're scared of greatness.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
This whole saga has been wild. In what felt like a blindsiding backstab straight out of a reality show reunion, the New York Liberty dropped a bombshell. Sandy Brondello was out as head coach. No press tour, no slow fade. Just gone. And that's where the drama really kicks off. Because Sandy Brondello wasn't just any coach. We're talking about someone with championship pedigree, years of respect around the league, and a coaching resume that screams Hall of Fame energy. Under her leadership, the Liberty didn't just rise, they soared. She turned a solid roster into a real threat, pushed them to the finals, and secured a ring. You'd think that would buy a little job security, right? Apparently not. The Liberty front office pulled the plug and called a performance decision. But let's be honest, no one's buying that. Coaches with worse records have stayed employed through multiple rebuilds. This wasn't about performance. This was about politics. This was about control. And more than anything, this was about power. Because if you read between the lines, it starts to look a lot like a warning shot. Not just at Brondello, but at Caitlin Clark. And now, the rumor mill is spinning so fast it's practically generating its own gravity. Brondello is heading to Indiana. Clark wants her. Fever fans are demanding her. And WNBA insiders are raising their eyebrows. So high, they're practically in orbit. If this pairing actually happens, it's not just a coaching hire. It's a league-shaking shift in energy. The kind that rewrites narratives, shuffles power, and makes everyone else sit up a little straighter. Let's rewind for a second, because the Caitlin Clark-Sandy Brondello connection already is history. During the 2025 All-Star Game, Clark didn't just play the game. She chose her coach. Literally. In a move that looked innocent to casual fans but set off alarm bells in the league office, Clark used her trade powers to bring Brondello in as her all-star coach. And it worked. The chemistry was instant. They looked like they'd been collaborating for years. You could feel it. On the court, Clark looked more relaxed, more empowered, more dangerous. Off the court, she had nothing but praise for Brondello's leadership. And Brondello? She lit up whenever she talked about Caitlin's basketball IQ and competitive drive. It was a match made in hoops heaven. So the second Brondello was fired, the fan base didn't miss a beat. Bring her to Indiana trended within minutes. Analysts started drawing up imaginary playbooks. Even other players were hinting at the potential. And that's when things got weird. Because just as the hype reached its peak, it was like someone hit the brakes. Radio silence. No interviews. No statements. No official movement. And people started whispering the one thing that always makes sports fans shiver. The league is blocking it. Let's be clear. There's no confirmed conspiracy. No leaked emails. No smoking gun. But when a power duo like Clark and Brondello is this obvious, this needed, and this demanded by fans, yet somehow not happening, it starts to smell like more than just coincidence. It starts to smell like fear. Fear of what happens when you put a generational player in the hands of an elite strategist who actually knows how to unlock her full potential. Fear of the balance of power shifting away from the usual suspects and towards something new, something disruptive. Because let's not kid ourselves. Caitlin Clark isn't just a star. She's a phenomenon. She's not playing the league's game. She is the game. The ticket sales, the broadcast numbers, the jersey purchases, the clips going viral in real time. Clark is bringing a new audience to women's basketball and fast. And that kind of spotlight, it makes people nervous, especially the old guard. Bringing Brondello to the Fever will be like giving Clark the keys to a race car and saying, go full throttle. And if you're one of the franchises that's benefited from keeping the hierarchy exactly where it is, that is not the move you want to see. But guess what? That's not Clark's problem. The league can try to slow her roll, but the momentum is already here. Brondello's firing was meant to send a message, but it backfired. Instead of sidelining her, it threw gasoline on a fire. Instead of pushing her out, it cleared a path straight to Indiana. And now the only thing left to do is walk through the door. From a pure basketball perspective, the fit is chef's kiss. Brondello's offense thrives on spacing, sharpshooters, and high IQ ball movement. Sound familiar? That's Clark's entire blueprint. She doesn't need hand-holding. She needs a tactician. Someone who respects her creativity without boxing it in. And Brondello gets that. This isn't a mentorship. It's a partnership. And it could change the league forever. Think about it. The Fever have already pulled off a major coup by landing Clark. They've got the eyeballs, the potential, and now, possibly the coach. If they play this right, they don't just become contenders. They become the team to beat, the new measuring stick. And that's exactly what some folks in power don't want. You think league officials like watching Clark dominate All-Star Weekend with Brondello on the sidelines? You think they want a team that could rival the dynasties in Vegas or New York? Build around a player who hasn't even hit her prime? Please. But the truth is you can't gatekeep greatness forever. The fans are too loud. The players are too smart. And the league? Well, it might be able to stall, but it can't stop what's coming. Whether the WNBA likes it or not, the Clark, Brondello era feels inevitable. And when it happens, it's going to change everything. Because this isn't just about basketball. It's about narrative control. It's about shaking off outdated systems and giving the next generation real power. Not just a spotlight, but a voice. And if the Indiana Fever are bold enough to say yes, to take the risk, to lean all the way in and say, we're building something new here, they won't just win games. They'll start a revolution. Of course, the league could still try to delay it. Maybe they dangle other offers. Maybe they throw up bureaucratic roadblocks. Maybe they hope that fans get tired and move on. But they won't. Not this time. Because now we know what's possible. We've seen the vision. And once that vision's out there, you can't unsee it. So here's the question. Is the WNBA ready to evolve? Or will it keep playing scared? Because Sandy Brondello's out here with a clipboard and a championship pedigree. Caitlin Clark's already rewriting the rulebook with every step-back three. And together, they're a storm the league can't contain. So grab your popcorn. The next move could reshape everything. And if you're rooting for chaos, legacy, and a little bit of revolution, you might want to start tuning in to Indiana. Drop a comment below. Do you think Brondello and Clark will finally team up, or is the league too scared to let it happen? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more breakdowns of the drama the sports world really doesn't want you talking about. Let's talk about what Sandy Brondello actually brings to the table, because it's not just clipboard wisdom and sideline stoicism. This woman builds dynasties. She walks into rooms where chemistry is a mess, leadership is shaky, and expectations are sky high. And somehow, she makes it all click, over and over again. Phoenix, championship. New York, turned a flashy roster into a real threat. She doesn't just coach, she elevates. Players under her don't just survive, they thrive. Role players become key pieces. Stars shine brighter. And if there's one thing Caitlin Clark needs right now, it's a coach who knows how to elevate without micromanaging. Because let's be real, Clark is walking a razor's edge. She's the face of a new era in women's basketball. She's a walking headline, a highlight reel, a lightning rod. Everyone has an opinion on her, whether she's overrated, too flashy, too confident, or the savior of the league. It's a lot. And while she's handled like a pro so far, you can already feel the weight getting heavier. You don't just throw someone like that into the fire without support. You build around her. You protect her talent and make sure she's not set up to fail. You surround her with leaders who understand the pressure, who've been through it, survived it, and know how to steer the ship. And if there's one coach in the league who fits that bill, it's Brondello. What makes this even more poetic is how predictable the resistance has been. The second fans started talking about this pairing, certain corners of the basketball world started subtly throwing shade. Clark doesn't need special treatment. Brondello's system wouldn't fit Indiana's personnel. Maybe the Fever needs someone with a development background. It's like clockwork. When something bold, exciting, and disruptive shows up, the reflex is to doubt it, to poke holes in it before it even begins. But here's the thing. We've seen what happens when Clark is given a system that lets her do her thing. When she's allowed to play free, to create, to bend the game in her favor, she's untouchable. And Brondello? She doesn't suppress creativity. She amplifies it. Let's not forget, she coached players like Diana Taurasi, Brittany Griner, Skylar Diggins-Smith. She knows how to manage superstars and make it work. She understands ego, media pressure, and the scrutiny that comes with being a headline name. This is not new terrain for her. The real issue isn't basketball. It's control. Because if the Indiana Fever bring in Brondello and give Clark full freedom under her system, that's not just a coaching decision. That's a power shift. It tells the league, we're not playing by your script anymore. And that terrifies people. Because the WNBA has always been a tightly controlled ecosystem. Who gets the storylines, who gets the airtime, who gets the legacy. It's curated. It's maintained. The balance of power isn't just about wins and losses. It's about narratives. And Caitlin Clark is a walking narrative disruptor. She doesn't play the league's polished PR game. She talks trash. She pulls up on a logo. She moves merch. And now, she might be about to get her dream coach, who's also suddenly become too problematic for New York. Please. This whole situation feels like a poorly written TV plot twist. A top-tier coach fired right as a rising star needs leadership. The same coach Clark personally chose for an all-star game. The same coach who then immediately becomes divisive. This isn't subtle. It's strategy. But here's the part that makes this saga truly delicious. It might not matter what the league wants, because fans are no longer passive. They're loud. They're organized. They see the strings, and they're calling it out. WNBA Twitter is basically an investigative unit at this point. And TikTok is already editing together highlight reels of what Clark and Brondello could look like in a championship run. People want this. They're not just excited for basketball reasons. They want to watch the establishment get shaken. They want to see what happens when a player who breaks the mold links up with a coach who doesn't need to please the powers that be. This could be the duo that turns Indiana into the epicenter of women's basketball, that flips the super team script and says, actually, we're going to build our empire right here in the Midwest, and we don't need your blessing. And you know what? The league might benefit more from this than they realize. Clark is already drawing in new fans, new demographics, young girls, casual sports brothers college basketball loyalists who've never watched a WNBA game in their life. She's a magnet. And if you give her a winning team and a legendary coach to match, that magnet becomes a movement. But only if the league stops treating her like a threat and starts treating her like a pillar. The problem is, they're not ready to let go of the steering wheel. They want to grow the game, but only if they get to choose how. Only if it fits the vision they've curated over decades. But growth doesn't work like that. It's messy, unpredictable, organic. And Clark? She's not asking for permission. Brondello isn't either. So the Fever are standing at a crossroads. Do they make the safe hire? The familiar, quiet, non-threatening option who won't ruffle any feathers? Or do they go all in on the chaos and choose legacy over comfort? Because Sandy Brondello represents a threat to the status quo. Not because she's difficult. Not because she's controversial. But because she wins. Because she doesn't play nice with mediocrity. And because she knows how the system works and how to beat it. If the Indiana Fever want to rise, if they want to stop being the potential team and start being the problem for every other franchise in the league, they have one shot. Hire Brondello. Give her full control. Build around Clark. Not just as a player, but as a generational talent who deserves a generational coach. Stop trying to fit into the league's narrative and start writing your own. Let the power structures tremble. Because if they don't do it, someone else will. Another team will see the writing on the wall and grab Brondello. Someone will scoop her up, pair her with rising stars, and turn the Fever's hesitation into their own dynasty. It's a game of chicken now, and Indiana's got the better cards. But will they be bold enough to play them? One thing's for sure, the fans won't forget. They're watching this unfold in real time. They're taking names. And if Indiana drops the ball here, the backlash is going to sting worse than any losing season. So, Fever front office, if you're listening, this is your legacy moment. Don't play it safe. Play it smart. Play it loud. Play like you know you got a future MVP and one of the greatest basketball minds of our time, both within reach. Because Sandy Brondello and Caitlin Clark together, that's not a coaching hire. That's a revolution. If the Indiana Fever don't make this move, they're not just missing out on a coach. They're throwing away a legacy in real time. Because how often does lightning strike like this? A generational player and a championship-caliber coach, both available, both clearly interested, and both capable of shifting the center of gravity in an entire league. It's not just alignment. It's destiny. And ignoring it would be like having a winning lottery ticket in your hand and choosing to frame it instead of cashing it. Right now, Caitlin Clark is in a pressure cooker. She's not just being asked to carry a franchise. She's being asked to carry a movement. Every game, every interview, every slow-motion highlight clip is being dissected like it's a presidential address. And no matter what she does, it's either not enough or too much. But guess who knows exactly what that kind of pressure feels like from the other side of the clipboard? Sandy Brondello. This woman has had her decision scrutinized from every possible angle. She's been doubted, fired, and, let's not forget, brought right back into the conversation by players themselves. You know how rare that is? For a coach to be so trusted that players go out of their way to choose them? Not because of politics, not because of marketing, but because of results? It says everything. You don't fake that kind of respect. You earn it in locker rooms, in playoffs, in huddles during timeout number 6 in a fourth-quarter collapse. Brondello doesn't just coach through chaos. She owns it. And that's the exact energy Caitlin Clark needs right now. Because the truth is, Clark's been set up to either be the savior or the scapegoat. There's no in-between. If she wins, she's the face of the league. If she struggles, suddenly she's not ready, overhyped, needs to learn her place. It's exhausting just thinking about it. And yet, there she is, game after game, still dropping dimes, still taking impossible shots, still smiling through it all. But let's not pretend she can keep doing this without the right infrastructure. No one can. LeBron had Spoelstra. Kobe had Phil. Diana Taurasi had Brondello. These things matter. What's wild is that the blueprint is already written. Just look at what Brondello did with Taurasi. She didn't try to dim her light. She didn't ask her to play nice or slow down. She built an entire system around her strengths, made the game bend around her. And it worked. Championships worked. So, why wouldn't you want to give that same opportunity to Clark? Unless you don't want her to thrive. That's the uncomfortable question sitting in the corner of this whole situation. Because if you know a Brondello-Clark pairing would be good for the Fever, and good for the fans, and good for the game, why is it not already happening? Maybe because success on their terms, Clark's terms, Brondello's terms, is threatening to people who spent years writing the rules. Maybe because not everyone is ready for a future where the center of power isn't on the coast or in legacy franchises, but in Indiana, of all places. Let's talk about that for a second. The Indiana Fever have never been the league's golden child. They've been grinding, rebuilding, drafting, waiting, and now, finally, they have the spark, the attention, the peace. Caitlin Clark gave them the gift of relevance. But relevance is temporary if you don't do something with it. Hiring Brondello isn't just about now. It's about what kind of franchise the Fever want to be. Do they want to be remembered as a team that rode Clark's rookie year into a few ESPN clips and then fizzled out? Or do they want to be the team that took a stand, built something real, and scared the life out of every established dynasty in the league? Because let's be honest, the league's top teams are watching this unfold with popcorn in one hand and prayer beads in the other. If Indiana plays this right, the balance shifts. If they play it wrong, the league shrugs and business goes on as usual. And somewhere deep down, you know there are people who prefer that. People who would rather see Clark coached into submission by someone safe. Someone who will tell her to be more modest. Someone who won't rock the boat. Someone who'll make sure she learns the system before daring to lead it. They don't want a storm. They want a sprinkle. But you didn't draft Caitlin Clark for a sprinkle. You drafted her for a downpour. She's not here to be palatable. She's here to be iconic. And iconic players need iconic coaches. Period. And let's talk about the optics here, because they matter too. If you're a young girl watching the WNBA right now, what are you seeing? You're seeing a young superstar lighting up the league with raw talent and fearlessness. And you're seeing a veteran woman coach with rings on her fingers getting discarded. Because what? She won too much? She didn't fit the narrative? What lesson does that send? Because here's a thought. Maybe the league needs to stop gatekeeping greatness and start celebrating it. Let Brondello coach. Let Clark lead. Let Indiana rise. If you're scared of dominance, you're in the wrong business. This is professional sports. Dominance is the point. If you're not trying to build something unforgettable, what are you even doing? It's time to stop pretending that keeping things balanced and fair is the noble path. Fans don't want forced parity. They want storylines. They want fire. They want rivalries. They want greatness to feel inevitable, not manufactured. Brondello and Clark are that storyline. They're not polished or easy. They're electric. And Indiana has a once-in-a-generation chance to flip the league on its head. All it takes is a little courage. Courage to ignore the whispers. Courage to make the bowl higher. Courage to believe that, yes, you can be the franchise that changes everything. Because if they do it, if they pull the trigger, lock it in, and let Brondello build something with Clark at the center, we're not talking about a good season. We're talking about a new era. An era that doesn't care who is supposed to win. An era where Midwestern franchises become powerhouses. An era where players get to pick their people, and fans their front row seat to real history being made. That's what's on the table. But time's ticking. And the longer they hesitate, the louder the doubt gets. So, Fever front office, this is your legacy in the making. The fans are ready. Clark is ready. Brondello is available. Are you going to make history? Or are you going to be history? Let us know what you think. Is this the pairing that could change the WNBA forever? Or will Indiana blink and let someone else write the next chapter? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that subscribe button for more stories the league doesn't want you talking about. And as always, stay messy, stay bold, and keep watching the chaos unfold.